Good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of MLB Hot Takes. We got some good ones tonight. We're talking Shohei Ohtani. My goodness, what a turn for the worst for Shohei Ohtani with his upcoming free agency looming. Are the Mariners World Series contenders? Is Mookie Betts the rightful MVP for the National League? We got some news. Steven Strasburg, the White Sox, Mike Rizzo. Let's get to it. Good evening, baseball fans. How you doing? Hello. Right around 50 people to start things off. Welcome to another episode of MLB Hot Takes. Trying to do this every single week. What I also like about doing these every single week is we have news. We got some news to really dive into. So actually, a few of these hot takes actually tie into some of the news going on over the last few days, and it has been already pretty fun week of baseball. Pretty good day for me as a Red Sox fan. My goodness, 17 runs against the defending champs. You gotta love it. My goodness, my Red Sox, you can't stop them when they're playing well. When they're playing bad, you just beat they get the crap beat out of them. I don't understand this Red Sox team. I've said this now for months about this team. It is the most up and down Red Sox team I've ever seen. It's such a weird team this year. My goodness. But we got Shohei Ohtani tonight. We got the Mariners tonight. We got the Padres tonight. We got Mookie Betts tonight. We got a lot tonight. So thank you for stopping by on your Thursday evening. I hope you all have had a great week. Hope you all are ready for the weekend coming up. I know I am. I'm back to work. And so now I look forward to my Fridays. So tomorrow's Friday. Gotta love it. Everyone, before I do get started, as always, if you are new to the channel, think about subscribing down below. Everyone, I got some content coming up this weekend. I've already got it recorded. I just gotta edit it. The video for this weekend, one breakout player for each team. I know you all like those kind of videos. They seem to always do pretty well. So look out for that this weekend. One breakout player for each team. I have a few of those videos coming up, actually. One breakout player for each team. One surprising player for each team. One disappointing player for each team. One underrated player for each team. I mean, I got a lot of those types of videos coming up. Again, you all seem to like those kind of videos. Everyone, if you can, help us with the algorithm. Hit the like button for us. Hit the bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time. Share the show if you can. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Instagram, Facebook, wherever the heck you can share the show. Everyone, we are sponsored here proudly by Underdog Fantasy. Like I've been saying for the last couple of weeks now, looking to do this channel full-time, maybe even in the next year. So having a sponsor for the channel is vital for our success at doing this full-time. So hey, if you can show your support, go on Underdog Fantasy. Use my promo code HYDE. You get a double on your first deposit up to $100. The link is in the description down below. Just going over what Underdog Fantasy actually is. Of course, it is daily fantasy. You can win yourself some cash over on Underdog. And they got a whole ton of different ways that you can play, especially with football coming up. Football is just around the corner. Man, we're really getting into that time of the year now really getting into that time of the year. I love this time of the year. I love when the fall rolls around. You got baseball, playoff baseball coming up. You got football back. You know, even basketball is right around the corner. I'm just saying. It's a fun time to be a sports fan, especially with football right around the corner. But for Underdog Fantasy, like I said, you got a whole bunch of different ways to play football or baseball. I've been enjoying the daily drafts, to be completely honest with you. I have been dialing in on those. I've been winning a few bucks here and there, but you can do a whole ton of different games. Tomorrow, you do have some drafts coming up. You can enter 3-person drafts. You can enter 6-person, 4-person, 2-person drafts. There's a whole bunch of different ways. And you can also play pick'ems where you can go over under for certain players, whether or not, you know, they get a certain amount of fantasy points in a game, maybe a certain amount of base hits in a game, maybe a certain amount of RBIs, total bases in a game. It could be on the pitching side of things. Like, for example, Merrill Kelly. Do you think he'll get more than 18.5 pitching outs, 4.5 outs allowed, 1.5 walks allowed? So go through it. Go check it out. Go win yourself a couple of bucks. You can also play rivals as well, where you can pick between 2 players, like who will perform better in certain categories. Again, I've been enjoying it, and it would be greatly appreciated if you can show your support. The better we do with our sponsor, the more likely we can stick with this partnership long term, which will help us keep this channel, or help us get to doing this channel full time. So everyone, thank you so much. Check it out. Here we go. Alrighty, so let's get to the hot takes. Let's get to the hot takes here. Again, welcome to the show tonight. Do greatly appreciate you stopping by. And we actually have a super chat to start things off. Theorpo, what's going on, my friend? What is going on? How you doing? $10 super chat. Robbie, my team was kicking and crying, and your team had the audacity to kick the baby across the floor while whining. Also, Altuve has only not been on base 2 games since he's come back from his injury. Listen, I've always liked Jose Altuve. You know, I don't know. I've always just enjoyed him as a player. He reminds me a lot of Dustin Pedroia. I know that might sound insulting, obviously, because he was a part of the whole cheating scandal, but whatever. We have moved on. I have moved on personally from that. And he is still playing extremely well since that whole thing. Whatever. I am past it. I don't care anymore. The guy just shows he is so good. He's so good. Hey, Jose Altuve, I think, is going to go down as one of the best to ever do it. I'm just saying. But the Astros, man, oh man, I am sorry that the Astros just got wrecked today. That's why I'm wearing the Boston Bangs shirt today because, man, they were banging today, man. They were banging. But let's get to it here. First super chat or not super chat, I apologize. First hot take of the night, and it actually ties into one of the bigger stories of today. This is from Ed Bagley, one of our members. Thank you, Ed. Always appreciate it. Everyone, just saying, memberships are available, and I'm going to be honest with you. If when I'm looking at all the hot takes that get submitted, if I see a member logo or emoji next to the name, it's going to stand out a little bit more. So if you want a better chance of getting onto the show, I'm just saying, becoming a member can make it easier. But Ed Bagley says here, due to UCL issues, Shohei Ohtani's contract value will be much less than expected in free agency, around 300 to 400 million. He will be forced to become a closer down the road. Man, oh man. But let's take a look at this. This is definitely some big news. One of the bigger stories. Honestly, I think you could say this is one of the bigger stories of the season so far. Shohei Ohtani was just having a magical season this year. One of the best seasons, we have ever seen. The pace that this guy was on, we've talked about this actually. On Fangraphs, I believe he was on pace to have a top 35 season of all time. On Baseball Reference, he was on pace to have a top 15 season of all time. We were witnessing history. I'm just saying. Now we don't get that, and that's unfortunate. He's just so great for the game of baseball. honestly. Like, baseball, I feel like was getting a little stagnant there for a little bit. I mean, not for me, but I think for the casual fan out there, you know, now they've got all the rule changes in place. I think it's making the game more exciting. But someone like Shohei Ohtani was just, wow, really doing a lot for the game. You know, I think we needed a player like this to, you know, sure, you had Mike Trout for so long. You got some of these other players out there like Aaron Judge making history last year. But Shohei Ohtani, I mean, come on. It's just different with him. Obviously, he can pitch and hit. We all know the story with Shohei Ohtani. I mean, look at the year that he was having offensively. But getting to the story, before I actually dive in, he was diagnosed with a tear in his UCL in his elbow. Will not pitch again this season. Awful news. Remember, he was having arm fatigue at one point. He was missing some starts there. And now we finally have the news on what's going to be happening with him for the rest of the year. I think it's a good move on his part. Obviously, free agency is coming up. It's best to try and not pitch through this, in my opinion. You know, we've seen these injuries before. I believe Tanaka had this injury, if I remember correctly, with the Yankees. My potato brain can't remember that far back. But I believe he had this. Maybe it was a partial tear. Can't fully remember. But he was able to avoid surgery. There have been other guys that have had this injury. They've gotten surgery, not gotten surgery. So there are conservative methods, you know, to getting around this. So maybe just some rest, you know, for the rest of this year will help with that. And he'll be able to avoid it completely. However, he still is going to hit, so that is fun. At least we can still watch the guy hit. But I would think, man, like, this has got to really affect his mentality, you know? Like, this is a guy who gets ready, you know, every week to pitch. You know, I wonder if this is going to affect him mentally, you know? At least now he can focus on the hitting. But we all know Ohtani. This guy's a competitor, man. He wants to go out there. He wants to pitch and hit. So we'll see how he's going to do for the rest of the year. However, when you look at the numbers that he's putting up now, I don't see any sign of him slowing down. I'm guessing this is not going to affect him with the bat. I would imagine he's going to be fine. But look at these numbers. He's hitting 304, a 405 on base, a 664 slugging, a 181 WRC plus, 44 homers. I mean, good grief. Like, these are, like, even if it was just like just a regular position player putting up these numbers. These are insane numbers. But then he's also pitching. It's just crazy. He's got 91 RBIs as well, 17 stolen bases in there too. Incredible season from Ohtani. He has a 6.3 Fangraph WAR on the mound, at the plate, sorry. And on the mound, he has a 2.3 Fangraph WAR. I mean, insane season. I would imagine he is still going to win this MVP award despite not being able to pitch anymore. I still think he's going to end up winning this award, in my opinion. But getting back to the hot take, how much is this going to affect him in free agency? I think it's going to affect him. Obviously, I think teams are going to, and I've said this before, this isn't anything new. This is nothing new, where I've said before, I've been seeing all these people out there saying 11-year deals, 12-year deals, $500 million, $600 million. I've been seeing those. We've all been seeing those. I have been one of, I think, the few people out there that thinks there is a chance, even before this injury, that he ends up getting a shorter deal, maybe a 6-year deal, right? And maybe he goes back into free agency after, because I just wonder, you know, yeah, I can see the motivation for wanting to have him long-term, but to pay him long-term for both the hitting and the pitching, it's uncharted territory. You don't really know what you're going to be getting. You know, when he's going to be, 35, 36 years old, you don't know what he's going to even have with his arm. So I was wondering if teams maybe just go the shorter route and then readdress it at the end of the contract, right? And then just pay him just a ton of money per year, right? Give him like $50 million per year over 6, like something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot more money per season, but just less years. But I could also see why teams would want to bring him in for the long term. Obviously, we're witnessing, one of the greatest players that ever lived. Is he going to have that career like a Barry Bonds or a Hank Aaron or a Babe Ruth? No, I don't think he's going to be able to get to those numbers. But what he's been able to do in these individual seasons, wow, like it's incredible. It's one of the greatest players we've ever seen. So I think with Ohtani, when you look at what's going on now with the arm, I think it was already a bit of a question mark, but now he's had this happen. I think it's very possible he ends up getting a short-term deal now. Now, when I say short-term, I don't mean like a 2-year, 3-year deal. I think like it's possible he could get 5 to 6 years. I think that's very possible. I could be dead wrong on that. I'm just looking at it from a financial point of view when it comes to the value that you're going to be getting out of him over the contract, right? Because you don't know how he's going to be handling the pitching. Obviously, more so now with the injury. I think with the bat, I think what you're going to be getting with this bat. I don't think you have to worry about him offensively. So obviously that is going to completely give him a ton of money, right? Just the bat alone. I mean, just look at what Aaron Judge just got for just offense, right? So obviously, I think Ohtani is going to be getting at least that. And then, with the pitching, I just think it's going to be interesting because teams are really going to look into it from a health point of view, a medical point of view. They're going to want the medicals. Could we end up seeing a situation like with Carlos Correa, like with the whole ankle thing? Our team's going to balk at giving him a massive contract, considering what's going on here. Because remember, he had something going on with the arm prior. Remember, go back, a few years ago, he was having the arm issues then. So, this is now another injury to his arm. So I think it's very, very likely that teams are going to be looking at his durability. Again, I think it is possible he ends up getting a 10-year deal. But I think if he gets a long-term deal, I think there's going to be a lot of incentives put in place. I think there's going to be a lot of stipulations put in place. There's going to be options, I would think. It's going to be interesting. I'm very, very curious to see what this contract looks like. Obviously, the money. We all know he's going to get paid. That I'm interested in, what are the options that are going to be included? What are the stips? What are these little details that are going to be included? I would imagine there's going to be certain innings, certain thresholds of innings that he would have to reach. I would imagine that that's going to be included. I think what's going to end up happening is he ends up getting just a fat deal, but it could end up being fatter if he reaches certain innings. That's what I think it's going to end up being. I could see if it is an 11-year deal, let's say it's like just a 10-year deal, right? Let's say in those later years, right? Or even maybe even in the short term as well, right? I think there's a very good possibility that there's going to have to be a certain amount of innings for options or whatever it is to kick in for the pitching side of things. For offense, I think you can just pay him for the offense. That I think is completely fine. For the pitching, though, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these contracts his contract is worked out from the pitching side of things. Definitely think there's going to be some terms and stipulations for that. So, and yeah, Dylan Gonzalez, I think you could see a long deal, maybe front loaded. I think that's very possible. I would imagine because of the situation, not this, but just him as a pitcher and a hitter in general, I could see the later years maybe getting a little lower when it comes to the salary. Maybe not, because we also see the other way around too. We see like these guys, they get backloaded deals, right? It's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how it all works out with the Shohei Ohtani contract. But getting back to the Super Chat, there's one more detail I want to look at here. One more detail. Ed, you put in here, so you expect less, or rather, you expect around 300 to 400 million. I do think that's what it's going to be at least. At least it will be that. But I think the options, the incentives could bump that up over 500. I do think that's very possible. Will he become a closer down the road? I don't think so. And the reason I disagree with that is because what he can do as a starter, right? I think teams would want him to be a starter. I see what you're going with. I do. I see where you're going with it to try and limit the innings. But, man, what that guy brings to the mound, you want that guy to start, right? However, could there be a situation, maybe that gets worked into the deal as well. Maybe if he ends up becoming a reliever at some point, maybe they include some kind of option in there if he was end up moving to the bullpen at some point. I think it's very interesting. It's going to be fun to see what the contract ends up being. Could this affect? Now I'm going to ask you all this. I'm going to ask your opinion. Do you think this affects his chances of going to another team? Do you think this makes it more likely that he ends up staying with the Angels? I think that could be something to think about too. Or would other teams be scared off from Ohtani? I think that's possible. I think teams would love to still go after him, right? Will they go as hard for him though? The Angels, they're going to do whatever they can to keep him. I think even with this, I think they will still pay the man. So, I would actually say this is actually good for the Angels, that I think it increases their chances of being able to keep him. I think this injury actually works in their favor because teams on the outside, man, they're going to do a lot of digging. They're going to look at a lot of the medical reports. He is comfortable with the Angels already. So, I think it could be more likely he ends up staying with the Angels now. Unless a team really isn't bothered by, this latest injury. We'll have to see. Thank you, Ed. Great hot take to start things off. And also, Theorpo, thank you for becoming a member, my friend. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you. All right, let's move on. Let's stay in the West. We got a hot team playing pretty good baseball lately. The Seattle Mariners from Tegan Dobbins 2002. Hot take. The Mariners make it to the World Series and win it. I love it. Man, oh man. Let's take a look here. The Seattle Mariners. And also, I'm going to pull up the new feature on this show. We have actual live updated standings on this channel now. Brendan DH, real quick before I get to that, $10 super chat. Thank you, Brendan. If Ohtani stays in Anaheim, it's him admitting defeat. There's no way on earth he stays there because we all know someone else will overpay for him. Now, I do think it comes down to the money at the end of the day. That's what I really think it is. It's if he ends up staying with the Angels, let's say, I don't know, I'm just throwing random numbers out there. Let's say the Angels offer him $450, right? And let's say the Dodgers offer him $400. Well, let's say go a little closer. Let's say the Angels offer $425 million. Let's say the Dodgers offer $400. Does him taking the extra $25 million mean that he admits defeat? $25 million. I think I'd like $25 million. That's not bad if you ask me. That's just me though. I think it just comes down to the money. At the end of the day, I think that's really going to be obviously the big factor. Yeah, sure, comfort. Yeah, he's going to want to go somewhere where he's going to feel good. He's going to feel right. He's going to want a team that's going to be okay with the routines that he has. He's going to be able to be the player that he wants to be. I'm sure he's not going to want to go somewhere where they're going to try and change him. Obviously, it's been working with the Angels, not the Angels themselves. For Ohtani, though, it's been working. So the Angels are doing something right with him. They're kind of just letting him do his thing, So it's been a good situation. But I think at the end of the day, money is really when it's going to come down to. If the Angels offer more money, which I think they could, now, I think they might be more motivated to try and keep him. Or maybe could they be more motivated after this injury? Could that affect how they feel about Ohtani? There's a lot of questions. I would think probably more no on that. I think the Angels won't be bothered by it. I think they want to do, especially Artem Moreno, he wants to keep Ohtani. who cares? That guy could have 2 broken elbows, and Artie Moreno's like, sign the check. Get that man signed. Get that man signed. 2 broken elbows, that's fine. That's fine. We'll keep Ohtani with 2 broken elbows. Anyway, moving on to the Mariners. Thank you for that, Brendan DH. Thank you so much. Here we go. So let's take a look at the live standings. And we have the American League wild card. Let's take a look at this first. And right now, you got the Mariners in the second wild card spot. All right, you got the Rays in the first one. It looks like the Rays are going to hang on to a wild card spot. I think they're going to be fine. You got the Mariners now in this spot, right? You got the Astros a percentage point behind. They got the third wild card. Man, look how close this wild card race is. Toronto right there. My Red Sox doing what they can, winning their series against the Astros. My goodness. Winning today 17-1. My goodness. But let's take a look here at the AL West, right? We'll get to the Mariners in just a second. But here we go. And looking at the West, Seattle is right there. The Rangers, they are sliding lately. And man, oh man, the Mariners all of a sudden are 1 game behind in this division. This is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Now, as for the Mariners themselves, taking a look, the big key I have said for this season is their offense, right? The pitching has been fantastic this year. If we were to go look at the overall numbers when it comes to the pitching, right? So looking at the starting pitching, they've been phenomenal. When it comes to Fangraph WAR, they're 3rd overall. You got Castillo, you got Kirby, you got Logan Gilbert, you got Miller, you got Wu. Hancock came up there for a little bit, but you got a solid rotation. And as for the bullpen, even without Seawald, they have just been so good. Overall in the year, 2nd in Fangraph WAR. But if we were to take a look at the offense, overall, when it comes to WRC+, the Mariners now rank 6th overall. That shows how hot their offense has been. They were right there in the middle for a long time. For pretty much the entire season, they were anywhere from like 15 to 18, right? They've been red hot lately. If we take a look at the last couple of weeks, they rank 1st overall in WRC Plus with a 146. Over the last 13 games, they're hitting 288, a 378 on base, and a 490 slugging. Phenomenal offense. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez has been just flat out amazing. Had 17 hits in 4 games at one point. That is a record. Jose Caballero has really stepped up. Even Rojas. Wow. This deal, remember when they made the deal for Josh Rojas and Paul Sewald? They must have saw something with Rojas and they thought, all right, we can fix that guy. We know what to do with Rojas to get him back on track. We got a good bullpen already, even without Sewald. Rojas can help us out with some infield depth. Remember, they cut Wong. So Rojas, this has really worked out for them. So this has been a great move. Teoscar Hernandez has heated up. Ty France has been contributing. I mean, my goodness, Eugenio Suarez. I mean, these guys are really stepping up when they really needed them to. Absolutely fantastic offense. That has been the key for the Mariners. And again, like I said, the starting pitching. Listen, you got Castillo, you got Kirby, you got Logan Gilbert. I'm confident in that 1-2-3. I am very confident in that 1-2-3. Going into a first-round matchup, if they could win that division, let me actually go back here. Let me actually go back to the current seedings. Let's go to the standings. So when it comes to the wild card, if we're looking at the wild card as of right now, again, the Mariners are number 2 in the wild card. But when it comes to the seeds, right, you got the Orioles at number 1, you got the Rangers at 2, and you got the Twins at 3. if the Mariners can overtake the Rangers there, they will have the number 2 seed, and that will give them a bye for the to the division round, which would it be amazing for the Mariners. I'll say this. If the Mariners can get that division, I think they have a huge chance of getting the World Series. I'm sorry, because if they can save those 3 guys for the division round and not have to use them in the wild card round, that's going to be massive. I still think they would be okay, even if they did have to use those guys. Right now, the Mariners, in the wild card spot that they're in, they would have to play the Rays in the wild card round. That's a tough matchup. You know, the Rays are playing better lately. They had a rough July, but they are playing better. That's a tough matchup. You know, you got Glasnow, you got Eflin. You know, that's not going to be easy to get by Tampa. That's, you know, even without Franco, that offense has been pretty good. That's a tough matchup for the Mariners in the first round. I think they need to win this division. If they can win this division, I think they have a very strong chance at winning a World Series this year. I really do. Let's say they end up beating... Let's say they beat the Rangers to the division. Let's say they end up getting a bye to the division round. Let's say they get a bye to the division round. Joe Hill, $5 super chat. Not sure if you allow live hot takes. I do allow live hot takes. That's how you get a live hot take, is with a super chat. Torkelson is an all-star next year and wins the home run derby. Man, oh man. I love it. Torkelson, he has been red hot in the second half. He's a completely different player from the first half. Absolutely love it. I buy him being an all-star. I think why not? Why not get him in the home run derby? That'd be pretty fun, if you ask me. I love it. Joe Hill, I love your hot take. I do buy him being an all-star. It's just a matter of, will he want to do the home run derby? If he wants to do the home run derby, why not? Why couldn't he win it? Joe Hill, awesome super chat. Thank you. Or awesome hot take and super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. But yes, if you do have a hot take you want to submit, I've already picked my hot takes. I allow you all to submit your hot takes on the community tab on the channel, as well as on my Twitter. So be on the lookout for those. Every week, I'm posting every week. Give me your best hot takes. So that's how you can get into it for free. But if you do want to submit one during the show, you can drop a super chat. So thank you, Joe. Appreciate that, my friend. Now, getting back to one more time, let me get back to the standings here. So let's say Seattle wins that division, right? Let's say Texas, they end up just getting a wild card. So Seattle, they would be the 2 seed. So they would end up playing the winner of the 3rd and the 6th seed, which would be the Twins and the Astros. As of right now, the Twins and the Astros would play in that wild card round. Listen, if the Mariners if the Astros, let's say the Astros beat the Twins, right? They use up a couple of pitchers there. I think the Mariners would smell blood at that point. I think they'd be like sharks in the water. I think the Astros would be weakened by that wild card matchup. The Twins, they got good pitching. I think the Twins would be, say what you will about the Twins, however many years now, they just can't have success in the playoffs, it seems. But with that pitching with the Twins, that's not going to be an easy series for the Astros. So I could see the Astros getting by the Twins, but they would, again, have to use up at least a couple of pitchers. And I think for the Mariners, I'm sorry, but like that big 3 that they have, that's going to be really good for them to try and get to the championship round. And then, I'll go back to it one more time. If Baltimore ends up playing the winner of the first wild card and the second wild card, let's say the Rangers and the Rays end up playing. Honestly, I do think with Baltimore, I do like a couple of their guys. I like Bradish. Kramer looked pretty good the other night. You got Flaherty there. You got Gibson there. I don't know. With Baltimore, I could see Baltimore if you go up against, let's say, the Rangers. Let's say the Rangers beat Tampa. They got Scherzer, they got Montgomery, they got Eovaldi. The Rangers have some pretty good depth, and I think they would be able to handle the Orioles in a first-round matchup. So, man, if you could have an ALCS, and then same thing for the Rays as well. The Rays, they always know how to try and get through any type of depth issues. The Rays, I think, if they got by the wild card round, play the Orioles, I think they could definitely beat the Orioles in a first-round matchup, but the Orioles could definitely do it too. I think no matter how you break it, I think the Mariners have a really good chance against any of these teams with that pitching. I think the Mariners are in really good shape. I really do. I think the Mariners are very scary right now in this American League, and they're getting hot at the right time. I think they absolutely can make it to a World Series. Now, could they win the World Series? I mean, that's another question in itself. Who gets through the National League? But the Mariners have the pitching. We saw last year, starting pitching is key. Starting pitching is key. And the Mariners got it. They got it. They got guys that just have not just good numbers, but good stuff. They got a shutdown bullpen. The offense has come alive at the right time. I'm liking the Mariners right now. I like them coming into the year. I've liked them all year. It's just a matter of if their offense could get going. And they got it. I think the Mariners are scary. Thank you for that hot take. Awesome hot take. Moving on. Let's talk about the Rangers. The Rangers miss the playoffs. According to Stroh's bandwagon since 96. I love it. Right now, the Rangers, they are on an absolute skid. It is not looking great for the Rangers right now. If we're looking at the numbers, let's go quickly look at how the Rangers are doing lately. Not good. Obviously, we just saw the Mariners. That is a horrible recipe for a team in first place. Going on a long losing streak, and then you got a team that's hot. That's a horrible recipe for a team in first place. And the Rangers, unfortunately, have concocted that recipe. Now, taking a look at the numbers lately, with the Rangers, their offense has been amazing this year, but they have gone a little cold. Not ice cold, but not what they were prior. 17th overall in the last couple of weeks with a 94 WRC plus. Over the last 11 games, they're only hitting 244, a 310 on base, a 401 slugging. It's not an offense to be inspired by. They need to get this offense going again. Now, if we go take a look at the starting pitching, they are getting some good starting pitching. Scherzer, Montgomery has brought stability to that rotation. Dunning has really stepped up for them this year. John Gray, I think, has been pretty underrated for them this year. You got Heaney there too. Evaldi's coming back. I like the starting pitching for the Rangers, but if you look at the bullpen, awful bullpen lately. It has not been a good bullpen. Over the last couple of weeks, they're 1-3. A 5.09 ERA, a 5.06 FIP. Bullpen is no bueno. So an offense that's not pounding the ball like they were prior, that's how they were winning a lot of these games. They were just beating the crap out of you. They're not doing that now. It seems like teams have adjusted to the Rangers when it comes to their offense, right? Good teams make adjustments, so the Rangers are going to have to make those adjustments to get their offense back. I'm fine with the starting pitching, but you need to close out the games, right? And they're not doing that right now. And they're not performing well in the late innings. So, and you got a Mariners team that's hot. I absolutely think the Rangers could lose this division. And I'll go even a little further. I think it's very possible the Rangers, could they end up missing the playoffs completely? You got this Blue Jays team that's hanging around. They just don't, the Blue Jays for the last couple of years, they just don't really, it's like they just don't know what they are. It's like they're a good team one week, a bad team one week. They look like a great team one week and then an awful team another week. They're very similar to the Red Sox, right? Where they just can't, they're like the Red Sox this year, but they're just a little better than them. They're just so up and down. Against 500 teams over 500, they're 38-41. So I don't know. And one more thing I do want to look at is strength of schedule. I think that's very important here. Very important. So if we go take a look at the remaining schedules. So for the Rangers, they have the They're right in the middle when it comes to strength of schedule for the rest of the year. If we take a look here, they're 15th overall. They still got 7 games against the Mariners. I really think the Mariners can win that division. I'm sorry. I think the Mariners are, in my personal opinion, right now at least, they're the better team. So I almost put the Mariners ahead of my Rangers in the power rankings last week. I should have. I wanted to, but I wanted to give the Rangers a chance to see if they could get themselves out of this hole, and they're not doing it. Right now, I am very ready to put the Mariners in my top 5 in my power rankings. Listen, the Mariners, in my formula that doesn't even matter, when I'm looking at where my teams rank, I'm looking at WRC+, I'm looking at FIP, I'm looking at strength of schedule, I'm looking at bullpens, I'm looking at starting pitching, I'm looking at a whole bunch of different things. And the Mariners consistently this year have been a top 10 team for me. Consistently. There's been times they've even been a top 5 team, but their record didn't show for it. Right? The Rangers have always been up there too, but right now, the Mariners are looking like a better team. And then when you look at the Blue Jays, they have a very easy schedule moving forward. Look at all these matchups. You got the Blue Jays have the A's for 3. They got the Royals for 3. The Rockies for 3. The Nationals are playing better lately. You got the Guardians for 3. The Yankees have been just awful. They got them for 6 more. And they got 4 more against the Rangers. Listen, I think there's a possible scenario here where the Blue Jays... Well, let me backtrack. I think there's a possible scenario here where you see the Rangers completely fall out of the playoff picture by the end of the season. I think that is very possible. With their offense not clicking, bullpen isn't closing out the games, I think you could see a situation where, let's pull the standings back up because I love looking at my standings. My goodness, I just love how these look. I could see a situation where the Rangers fall out of the division lead and they could fall out of the wild card race by the end of the year. I could see the Rays, I could see the Astros, and I could see the Blue Jays as the 3 wild card teams. And maybe the Rangers, they finish the season like 1 game back. And then the Mariners win the division. I could see that. I think that's very possible. I would not sleep on that possibility. The Rangers are a good team. I just wonder if they're picking an awful time to play bad. And this is not the time. Right? I'd rather a team start off cold and get hot in the second half than a team start off hot and then you got to, try and keep a team at bay that's red hot, right, in the second half. So I think I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about the Rangers, to be honest. It's not looking great. Not looking great. Moving on. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about an old friend of mine. Let's talk about an old friend. Speaking of Boston Bangs, right? This guy used to hit the crap out of the ball for my Red Sox. I still cry myself to sleep every night. I have moved on, but still I get tears here and there. Mookie Betts. Is Mookie Betts the MVP of the National League? I'm seeing it everywhere, everyone. I'm seeing it everywhere. From Foo805, Mookie Betts wins the MVP over Ronald Acuna. Man, oh man, I love it. I love it. It's hot. I'm sweating. I'm getting moist. Here we go. Taking a look. Where are we? Here we go. That's not right. Hold on one second, everyone. Okay. Let's go. So, you all know I love my Fangraphs. You all know I love it. Right now, Mookie Betts is the number 1 player when it comes to the Fangraph leaderboards. I'm just saying. However, when it comes to the voters, they tend to lean more towards just the baseball reference, right? Fangraphs is more projections at the end of the day. And what I'll do here is I will pull up Baseball Reference and I will go to their leaderboards and let's see who is ranking in wins above replacement in the National League. Oh, it actually is. Oh, it's tied. It's Mookie Betts and Ronald Acuna Jr. tied for wins above replacement. Wow, I'm kind of surprised about that. I thought Ronald Acuna Jr. would be ahead of Betts in Baseball Reference. Well, okay then. Okay, well, there you go. Now, going back to the numbers, right? Now, Ronald Acuna Jr. is slightly ahead of Mookie Betts, right? Freddie Freeman is actually a smidge ahead of Mookie Betts when it comes to the total offense, right? When you're looking at Mookie Betts as well, as Ronald Acuna Jr., obviously Ronald Acuna Jr. is destroying him when it comes to the stolen bases. But Mookie Betts, he's a guy that's going to have some speed as well. He's not going to have as many stolen bases, but he's still going to run the bases really well. So when you're looking at the differences, Acuna has the better batting average. I think that's going to lean in his favor. And I think also for Ronald Acuna Jr. too, the Braves are just so good, right? The Braves have the best record in baseball. I think that only helps them out as well when it comes to, you got to think of how the voters are, right? It's not about the numbers. It is about the numbers, but it's not all about the numbers when it comes to how these voters are. I personally think, a lot of the voters, when it comes to like Hall of Fame voting, I think it's garbage and I think they shouldn't be allowed to vote. I think it should just be current players and past players. I don't think the writers should have anything to do with it, to be completely honest. But if we're taking a look, when it comes to batting average, I think that's going to go in favor of Ronald Acuna Jr. because that's just a popular number. On base, he is slightly better. Mookie has the better slugging. He has more home runs, and he has more RBIs. So I think that's going to go in his favor. But I think the difference is that you see the 58 stolen bases, and I think that's what's going to put Acuna over the edge. I really do. Mookie has the better ISO percentage at 297 compared to Ronald Acuna's 234. So I think this is going to be very interesting. Mookie is slightly ahead in WRC+, 167 to 165. But to me personally, when I'm looking at, just the overall record, the Braves have the best record. That's going to go in Acuna's favor. I think it is going to be Acuna. Unless Mookie just goes red hot in September, right? If we were to look at, let's actually look at the leaderboards when it comes to the second half. Let's do this. So let's go second half. Also, did anyone realize that Fangraphs, they updated their site? I think it's quite nice. So right now, Mookie Betts is having a better second half than Ronald Acuna Jr., right? He's hitting 372 in the second half, which is better than Acuna. A better on base, a better slugging. So Mookie Betts' slash line is better in the second half. He has more home runs. He has more RBIs. So I think if Betts finishes strong, I think it's very possible that he could win it. I think right now, if I were to throw money down, if I'm at the blackjack table, if I'm throwing down my whatever, I don't know anything, poker, whatever. If I'm throwing down all my chips, my money, I'm going Acuna. Right now, I don't know. I can't predict the future. You all know me. I'm not good with my predictions. But I would go Ronald Acuna Jr. right now because I see 57 stolen bases, and that's just massive, right? They're close enough when it comes to the offensive numbers. Mookie's ahead in a couple of them. Acuna's ahead in a couple of them. But then you just see a whopping 57 stolen bases, right? And he's on pace to have a historic season. I think you just have to lean Acuna, as well as the Braves having the best, record in baseball right now. I think that only goes in their favor, or his favor. So I'll go with Acuna right now. But Mookie, I definitely think, is making it close. He's making it close. Speaking of Mookie Betts, he is coming back to Boston this weekend. I'm excited. My goodness, that guy's going to get a standing ovation. I honestly think he could end up getting one of the longest standing ovations ever at Fenway Park. I think it could be even bigger than when Nomar got his standing ovation. Maybe not the Ted Williams one. Maybe not Ted Williams. But I think Mookie's going to get a long one at Fenway Park, because obviously there was never any bad terms. There was never any like Manny Ramirez kind of whatever. Manny was having problems. People still love Manny in Boston, and he had all those issues before getting traded to the Dodgers. Funny, Manny Ramirez to the Dodgers, Mookie Betts went to the Dodgers. But I think Mookie's going to get a long-standing ovation at Fenway Park, obviously helping them win a World Series. No one wanted him to leave. They're going to pour their hearts out for him. I think Mookie's going to really soak it all in. He's going to soak it in. However, there was a report. Mookie Betts himself denied a report that the Red Sox made him a $300 million offer. I mean, I don't know what to believe. I don't see why he would lie about it. It's like maybe there was like a verbal kind of a thing, but was there ever like a formal offer? I don't know. I think there could be more details behind it. But I could also see John Henry and, ownership wanting to put it out there. Listen, the Red Sox are all about public relations. They're all about it. They knew they wanted to trade Mookie. They knew they wanted to. They didn't have him in their long-term plans. The Red Sox felt that they didn't have the farm system to really build around Mookie. They didn't have the pieces to put around him, and they didn't want to go out there and do the New York Mets Steve Cohen approach of just buying players, because they had just been giving out big contracts prior. David Price, they extended Chris Sale. They were handing out a lot of money, and it wasn't really working out. So the Red Sox said, forget this. We're not giving the money. And, Mookie, we love you, but, we don't want to go the long-term route. The Red Sox never go the long-term route, ever. Like, that's also another thing, too. I think that's also against their philosophy, unless the player takes their offer. I think they will do it, but they're not going to overspend. So, but it is interesting to see him talk about this. And he actually had some comments here saying, talking to Peter Abraham, right? It says here, the Boston Globe's Peter Abraham asked him about the long-standing rumor that he turned down a 10-year, $300 million contract in Boston. He goes on to say, that never happened. I know that's out there, and people say what they've got to say, but no, they didn't do it. They didn't. Betts was also clear that he wanted to finish his career with the Red Sox prior to being traded to the Dodgers. Most people don't believe it, but why would I lie about that? I did. Betts said, that was my team. Just because I didn't take an offer didn't mean I didn't want to be there. There's a business component to the game. We were looking for houses in Boston. We thought it was going to work out. I thought both sides were playing the slow game and it would eventually work out. We were negotiating. That's what I thought. So I could definitely see the Red Sox putting out there that they offered $300, for PR, because the Red Sox are always trying to cover themselves in public relations, and sometimes they just look really silly. I believe in a lot of things that the Red Sox do, that they're trying to do for their future. I do believe in the approach that they're taking, but there are times where I'm like, what are you guys doing? And now I'm not surprised to see something like this. Again, we don't know the full story, but I don't see why Mookie would lie about this. I really don't. But one more thing, Alex Cora, he talked about it. Alex Cora hopes to see the fans cheering heavily for Mookie. Obviously, that's not really a story. He says this is a special kid that did a lot of great things for the organization. So I'm excited to see Mookie back at Fenway Park. That is going to be fun. Speaking of Mookie Betts and the Dodgers, let's get to our last hot take of the night. But CJ LaChapelle coming in clutch with a $5 super chat. What is your take on the trolls trying to claim that the Braves are cheating? I have seen a little bit about this. I haven't really, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have not dove into this. I'll be very honest. I've seen a couple of tweets or whatever. I guess hacking PitchCom. I'm one of those people, man. When there is smoke, there is fire. I do believe that. I don't think these things just come from nowhere, right? Especially something pretty specific like this. I don't know, man. I don't know. So this was from Frank the Tank, right? A recent tweet from Frank J. Fleming, a columnist, author, and said, how do you say, whatever. He's with Barstool Sports. You all know Frank the Tank. He has sparked rumors of potential cheating by the Braves. In the tweet, Frank claims to have heard a rumor that the Braves have found a way to hack PitchCom, MLB's technology for pitch calling, which effectively eliminated sign calling and the problems that came with it. However, it's important to note that as of now, there's no evidence to substantiate these allegations. So they go on to say here, could PitchCom be hacked? The accusation of hacking PitchCom raises questions about the credibility of the claim. Also, listen, Sportskeeda, I know you guys, I don't know, they're not the best, but whatever. They're reporting on a story that has been out there. Can you at least spell your words correctly? Come on. PitchCom is now widely used all across baseball. Any access to a team's intercommunications would be unethical and potentially illegal. You know, the only thing I don't believe in this, honestly. I don't believe it. I really don't. But the one thing, you know, the Braves, they did have that whole thing with the international signings and whatnot, so they got caught with that. I don't think that necessarily means they're going to go ahead and do something like this now. I think that's crazy. I don't think they are. I don't know. Frank the Tank, I think he, you know, he's just the guy that likes to put stuff out there, obviously, and it's with the Braves, so I don't really buy it. I think it's a little silly. You know, especially coming from Frank the Tank. I'm sorry, but, you know, where did he hear this rumor from? Listen, if they can show me some concrete evidence, I'm all about the evidence, but I don't buy it because Frank the Tank, he kind of runs off of putting on a show, right? He's with Barstool Sports. You know, that's kind of his shtick. He likes to put stuff out there. He likes to get the hot. They like being lightning rods. So I don't really buy it. If it came from maybe like someone else, like a beat reporter or something, I think that's different. But the fact that it comes from Frank the Tank, I don't know. Obviously a big Mets fan, and he's saying it about the Braves. It doesn't add up to me. I don't know. Unless I see some more concrete evidence, I'll listen. But right now, I don't believe it. CJ LaChapelle, thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. But moving on, speaking of Mookie Betts and the Dodgers, let's talk the Padres. Our last hot take of the night from Caden Litchford. The Padres make a run for the playoffs. Listen. I'm just saying here, let's go pull up my standings because I love looking at the standings that we got here now. I am just in love with these. My goodness. Looking at the Padres, they are currently 6 games back. I don't think they're dead. I don't think they have a great chance, but I don't think they're dead. I just don't, and I'm going to tell you why, right? So the thing with the Padres this year is that they have had good numbers all year. Right, so let's go pull this up. If we look, just simply looking at their run differential, right? They got a plus 62 run differential. It's crazy that they're not putting the W's on the board. At the end of the day, the W's are what matter. However, I think the Padres, it's just a matter of putting it together. The Mariners were in a very similar situation. The Mariners, they found a way to put it together, right? The missing link for the Padres this year has been their bullpen. And their offense has not done well with runners in scoring position. They've got good bats there, but it's been an up and down offense. The bullpen has been up and down. The starting pitching has been good this year. The Padres, the key for them is if they can get enough offense and if they can get their bullpen stabilized, I do think they have a chance. They're not dead yet. I don't think they are. However, the numbers lately aren't painting a good picture. They're 20th overall in WRC plus over the last couple of weeks with a 93. Over the last 13 games, they're hitting 222 with a 308 on base, a 381 slugging. Those are not great numbers. If we were to look at the numbers overall from the individual players. I mean, you got Carpenter. Well, let's actually do... No. So Carpenter's only played a few games. So let's do... Okay. So, I mean, Garrett Cooper's hitting. Tatis is hitting. Machado's hitting some home runs. Bogarts is doing a little bit. Ha-Seong Kim. I love Ha-Seong Kim. Am I the only one out there that Ha-Seong Kim, he's one of my favorite players in the game? I love what this guy's doing this year. The defense is fantastic. I think he should be the shortstop, honestly. I think Xander Bogaerts needs to move to a different position. I think you're wasting defense from Ha-Seong Kim, personally. I would like him at shortstop. I think Bogaerts... Kim is the superior defender at shortstop. I'm sorry. Padres fans, I don't know. Maybe you'll hate me for that. Maybe you'll agree with me. I don't know. I personally think, and trust me, I know Bogaerts, okay? Bogaerts is very... He's solid, but he's not going to... Kim is going to give you more, right? I think he's going to give... You have a higher ceiling with Kim at shortstop. I'm just saying. That's just my own personal opinion. However, again, back to the offense. You got a couple of guys here that are hitting, but it's not enough, right? And if we look at the starting pitching, they are doing pretty well, starting pitching-wise. 6 overall in the last couple of weeks. 9.5 strikeouts per 9, under 3 walks per 9, 3.69 ERA, a 4.08 FIP. Those are good numbers. Those are good numbers. If we look at the bullpen over the last couple of weeks, overall, their bullpen, where are they? They're 12th overall. They're getting good numbers from the bullpen. A 3.05 ERA, 3.56 FIP. Bullpen's fine. But the problem with the Padres this year, the problem is it's such an up and down team within the team. Either the offense is hot and then the pitching is cold. Pitching is hot and the offense is cold. They just can't put it together, right? They are not firing on all cylinders. They'll have a couple cylinders firing, but not all 3. That's the one problem. The Mariners right now, they have figured out how to fire all 3 cylinders. Offense, starting pitching, and the bullpen. The Padres, they have the talent there to do it. They just haven't done it, all right? Offensively, they have just been completely underwhelming. It's crazy considering what's going on with what they have. It's crazy. Could this be a coaching thing? I don't know. I think there could be a bit of chemistry involved as well. You got a lot. Here's the thing, man. You got a lot of big names. You got big names. You got big egos here. I'm just saying, when you got this much beef in this lineup, I don't know, man. I think that in my personal opinion, I think it's hard for that much talent, right, to blend, right? You got Soto, Machado, Tatis, Bogarts. Bogarts is not a quiet guy. Bogarts is going to go out there and he's, you know, he talks loud, man. Bogarts is, you know, he's no slouch in the clubhouse. You got a lot of voices here. I don't know if that's affecting anything. I just wonder if it's a person. Could the personalities not be meshing very much? I don't know. I know they do the little camera thing, you know, to celebrate home runs. I don't know. I do think at the end of the day, I think it's just an execution thing. I think there could be something with the coaching, with the philosophy. Are they attacking these scouting reports as well as they could? Are they executing at the plate as well as they could? Obviously not. The numbers aren't showing it. But do they have the right game plans against these pitchers they're going up against? What is it? You know, what are they? Are they taking pitches in the right counts? Are they swinging at pitches in the right counts? I don't know. Like, something's off, right? Because you should be better than this, right? Something deeper is off. I don't think it's sure chemistry, but I think with chemistry, I think when you play well, you feel well, right? And I think the lack of execution is affecting the chemistry. I think that's possible, all right? And I just think these guys just aren't clicking the way they want to, obviously. And I think it could be affecting them in the clubhouse. They're obviously got a lot of frustrated dudes in the clubhouse. They're probably not going to be getting along very well. I don't know. I'm just saying. There have been reports this year of the Padres not getting along, having a lot of meetings with each other, with the team. I don't know. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but the key for the Padres, if they want to get back into this race, they just simply have to put it together. They have the talent to do it. Now, getting back to the hot take, they make a run for the playoffs. I think they could make a run. They have, I think they could have a last gasp. Will it be enough? The one thing the Padres do have in their favor is strength of schedule, right? The Padres, they do have a few tough matchups, right? You got the Dodgers, you got the Astros for a few, you got the Brewers for a few, you do got the Phillies. These are all playoff contenders right here. The Giants as well for 7. That could be something where if you wanted to leapfrog the Giants, you have a shot to do it, right? So you got a lot of games against them left. You got no more against Arizona, so that's going to be tough. I mean, Arizona, Cincy, they're hot right now. It's tough. It's very tough. I think they have a chance. I'm not going to say they're dead yet. I'm not ready, but they're very close. But they got a few matchups that could end up helping them out. You got 3 against the A's, 3 against the Rockies, 3 against the White Sox, 6 against the Cardinals. They could do it. It's not impossible, right? And I think it is, if you're to lean one way, impossible, possible, I think it leans more possible, right? It doesn't look great, obviously, but they could do it, right? They could go on a run. We've seen teams go on runs in September and make the playoffs. We've seen it before. We've seen it many times. If there is a team that could do it, it is the Padres. But are they what they are at this point? Are they going to be able to put it together like the Mariners did? I don't know. I'm not going to call them dead just yet. So, everyone, we got 150 people in here at the end of the show. Thank you so much for stopping by today. If you can, on the way out, hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. This can help spread it out there for the people that missed the live show. Hit the bell notification. Share the show. That'll help us out as well. Subscribe if you are new. And again, don't forget about our proud sponsor. Again, I keep mentioning this, but the goal is to make this channel full-time. This is what I want to do in the future. And if you can show your support to the channel, at least just go check out the sponsor. Maybe go play a couple of games. Sign up using my code HYDE. You get a double on your first deposit up to $100. The link is in the description down below. Everyone, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it that you're all stopping by for the hot takes. We'll probably come back to this next week. Don't forget, we have we have hot takes tonight. We have power rankings this weekend. Again, look out for a video this weekend. One breakout player for each team. So that's already recorded. I just need to edit it. I got work tomorrow, so I'll probably be working on it maybe a little after work tomorrow, Saturday. So expect that Saturday night. I expect to get that up Saturday night. If not Saturday night, probably Sunday at some point. But everyone, thank you for coming by tonight. I always appreciate your friendly faces stopping by. Have a great night. Have a great Friday tomorrow. And I will see you all Sunday night for another episode of Power Rankings. Everyone have a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.